I went on a 29 days epic trip around Kenya. A trip I could never imagine to do so soon or anytime soon. It has always been my dream in life to visit each and every African country. But before I get to do that, I had to first travel to every corner of my own country, Kenya. This is the story of how all this trip came together and all the destinations we visited. It was October 10th, exactly 7:29 p.m. late evening, and I was busy working when I got an email. It was two guys asking if I could join them on a trip around Kenya from 28th of December 2020 to 30th January 2021. Being the skeptical Kenyan I am, I thought to myself, what kind of elaborate scam is this? But then I remembered how 2020 was, and so by 7:47 p.m. I had already replied to the email that I am ready to go. We exchanged more emails and later on switched to WhatsApp where we shared a route map of places of interest. You see, I haven't traveled beyond our borders. Apart from that one time I crossed to Tanzania for a night party and came back to Kenya still at night, so that doesn't count. The two guys I was to travel with, on the other hand, had traveled to over 50 countries, from all the stories they got to tell me. More than 20 African countries. I was a total novice between experts. The two guys are also very private people, and I promise to keep their privacy. They are a couple and I will refer to them as Jen and Albert, which is not their real names. And here is a picture of us standing in front of Koitobos Peak in Mount Elgon, but we will get there. Fast forward several months later, and Jen and Albert finally arrived in Kenya, and we got to do a quick run of Nairobi, visiting the Nairobi National Museum, eating some food in Kilimanjaro restaurant, walking around the streets and having dinner at the Carnival restaurant, which is one of those hyped must-do things in Kenya. Well, sometimes we just have to feed the hype, but then after this, that's where the real trip starts. The day started early morning, as will every other day after this. I met Jen and Albert at the Boma Hotel by 8:30 a.m. We received the rental car and we set off. We made a quick stop at the Hub Karen Mall and bought a few camping stuff and cutleries. Unfortunately, we almost never used any of those, and we were off again. Driving outside Nairobi, we went down the magnificent Rift Valley escarpments towards Mai Mahiu. We made our first stop at the Travelers Church, also known as the Mai Mahiu Catholic Church. This was an interesting stop because this church is the smallest known church in Kenya, and possibly the second smallest in the world. We walked around, took some pictures, and we were off again. The plan was to drive all the way to Masai Mara, but Albert decided last minute we check out Mount Suswa. I had already visited Mount Suswa before, and so it was interesting to visit it again because it's quite a stunning mountain. We reached the peak after climbing through a treacherous route. At the top, we spent a few minutes and we were off again. While leaving Mount Suswa, we experienced our first mishap, which was a tire puncture. At this point, we also realized we were missing one tool which would help with lowering the spare wheel tire, and ended up waiting 30 minutes for someone to pass who was able to help us with the pliers which we used to lower the tire. We did manage to change the tire, and by the time we got to Narok, it was late in the evening. We fixed the tire at a nearby repair shop and decided to go to Masai Mara the next day very early in the morning. The day ended in a roadside hotel in Narok town. I did a terrible job of documenting the foods we ate, but the entire time we made sure we only ate Kenyan local foods. At no point did we eat any commercialized foods like burgers, pizzas and the likes. It was always typical Kenyan foods like githeri, lots of ugali, sukuma wiki and different types of meats. This is my hotel room in Narok. It costs 1,000 shillings, so that's the bed, a chair and a desk and a TV. Let's just walk in. It's a very, very small room, but yeah. That's it. Here's the toilet. that is how the room looks like. And what you're going to do is tomorrow we're going to go to Mara, like I think 5:30. We'll leave Narok 5:30 so that we can reach Narok maybe 7 a.m. Then we will just do like a thorough drive of the place, so that if we like it, we're going to camp there. If we don't, then you can just exit and go to a different place, because Mara is extremely expensive. Yeah. So that has been day one. Time to just shower and sleep, because in Mara, if you decide to camp, it means maybe no showering for like a day or two, or like skipping a day. Because it's just like pure camping. You have nothing, you have to do everything on your own. So yeah, that's a little hectic, if you can think of it. But again, that's the fun of it. Yeah. So that has been day one after a very long day. See you tomorrow. 5:30 a.m. we were off heading to Masai Mara, and when we were less than 30 kilometers from the main gate, the tire that had been repaired got another puncture. The tire was unrepairable, and going to a national park without a spare is a bad idea. We had to retrace back to Narok town to buy a new tire. That set us back 3 hours, and we were off again to the park and reached the park 10 a.m. in the morning. This was our first time to the Masai Mara, and we all had this thought that Masai Mara is overrated. We were so wrong. Right from entering the Sekenani gate, you are greeted with zebras, monkeys, and antelopes. The roads are mostly well maintained, and the drive turned to be very scenic with beautiful landscapes. Jen and Albert had been avoiding to travel to Kenya because it's a popular tourism destination. Because of the pandemic, they thought it would be a very good opportunity to visit, since most places will not be full of people or cars, and their argument was quite correct. There were not so many vehicles in the park, despite the day being a New Year's Eve. The drive was very fun, and we got to explore the park for hours. We saw lions lying on the grass, elephants taking a stroll, giraffes staring at us, and buffaloes grazing in large herds. Masai Mara did leave something in my heart, and even with all the hype, I will highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't visited. We visited the Serena Lounge, which is inside the park, and had some dinner before we retired to our campsite. The campsite was not very well maintained, and it was very bushy. The rains made the night worse for me because my 1-year-old tent had a small leak, which made my feet wet the entire night. We even forgot 2020 was coming to an end, and morning will be a new year, 2021. The day started early as usual, which was a relief for me because I had hardly had any sleep from all the rain. We started our early morning drive in Masai Mara, still marveling at the stunning landscapes. And then one of the rarest things happened to us. People visit national parks for years and never get to see a leopard. Leopards are known to be masters of disguise, and they can sit very high on trees, making them very hard to spot. We were very lucky to find a leopard strolling along the road. We followed it for 25 minutes, and it was definitely our highlight of Masai Mara. We exited Masai Mara around 11:40 am through the Olololo gate, and our next destination will be the Thimlich Ohinga Prehistoric site. The journey was through a rough road that is easy to get stuck in. We passed through Migori town, which is the nearest big town, and then proceeded to Thimlich Ohinga. Thimlich Ohinga is referred to as the best preserved prehistoric site in Africa, only after the one that is found in Zimbabwe. At the location, you get to learn about Luo culture and get to see the structure that was built in the 16th century and is still standing. We didn't stay long in Thimlich, Ohinga because we were running late and it was raining, and we intended to reach Homa Bay town where we will spend the night.
So Thimlich, Ohinga is just showing us or telling us the Luo culture and tradition.
Okay.
We are Luos, one of the tribes in Kenya is called Luos,
Yes.
and now their culture and is being shown here. Luos are polygamous people.
Okay.
Ever since, they are still practicing that up to now.
Okay.
So this one is a typical Luo homestead. A man with 3 wives.
Okay.
So this is the arrangement.
Okay.
If you enter into a Luo homestead, assuming this is the gate,
Okay.
the house, the main house to which the main door is facing the main entrance,
Okay.
that is the house of the first wife ever.
Okay. Okay.
Now on the right hand side appears the house of the second wife. Then at the left, the house of the third wife.
Okay.
This one is called Mekai, the first wife. Nyachera in Luo language.
Okay.
Then Krero,
Okay.
the third wife. Then between the first and the third, we have the house of the owner of these wives.
Okay.
Yes, the owner of this homestead.
Okay.
That is his house. It is also acting as the administration block.
I don't have many pictures or videos of Homa Bay town, but it is a very busy town and its biggest economic activity can be said to be fishing since it's right next to Lake Victoria. The night in Homa Bay town was not that pleasant though, as the hotel we slept in was right in the town and there was a lot of noise from motorbikes, a church that was having a late night worship, and a club which was playing loud music up to 11 p.m. in the night. Then there was a group of football lovers who were maybe drunk and decided to review the game they watched very loudly right outside the hotel. Coming to think of it, I had the worst sleep of the trip in Homa Bay. Maybe after a few days staying there, I would have become numb to the noise, but luckily morning came and we were off to the next destination.